over a period of 2 months, I've gotten my sugar levels back to normal, where they're supposed to be. I still eat healthily, but I have omitted a few things. I don't restrict myself to the point of missing out, but I do know what works with my body and what doesn't. I also know what is behind this escalation, and for me, it's stress. And we can talk, a little bit more about this later, but
Welcome to Thriving with Diabetes, the podcast where we empower people with type 2 diabetes to live their best lives. I am your host, Ghamdan, a holistic wellness coach helping people overcome challenges related to type 2 diabetes. As a holistic wellness coach, I have dedicated my passion for health and wellness to helping people like you navigate the complexity of type 2 diabetes. I believe that with the correct knowledge, support, and mindset, you can manage your health condition more effectively and lead a fulfilling and vital life. Living with type 2 diabetes is not easy, and it is important to acknowledge the difficulties you face. But also remember that you have the strength and the resilience within you to rise above these challenges and thrive. In this episode of Thriving with Diabetes, we are talking about the complex relationship between diabetes and liver health. If you are on a journey to better understand how lifestyle choices and positively impact your diabetes management, then this episode can be of great help to you. I am pleased to introduce our guest, Magic Barclay, a holistic health expert with a mission to empower people in their holistic health. Magic brings a wealth of knowledge in addressing the root causes and supporting liver health, specifically for those managing type 2 diabetes. Through this episode, you will gain actionable strategies and practical tips and a profound understanding of the liver's role in blood sugar regulation. So I am excited to have our special guest with me today, Magic Barclay. As you know that our podcast is about empowering people with type 2 diabetes to lead healthier and more fulfilling lives. And having experts like Magic on the show helps us achieve that goal. It is always inspiring to learn about our guests' perspectives and experiences. Before we dive into our discussion, I would love for Magic Barclay to introduce herself and share some background about her and what she does. But before I continue, let me read her bio or some information about her, then we can move forward. Magic Barclay is the lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and a host of a podcast called A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. Magic's life changed when she faced multiple life-threatening conditions. She then decided to find the root causes or cause of her health issues, and that set her on a path of life-changing learning. Magic helps mainly women aged 45 to 65 who feel unheard or misled by mainstream medicine, or anyone who wants to bring their health back to basics by treating root causes and the systems of the body, not chasing symptoms, reconnecting to the environment, and overcoming the past trauma and that of previous generations through healing the PNEI, psychoneuroendoimmune pathways of the body. She is also a master practitioner in mold toxicity recovery. Personally, she is a mom of two amazing humans and two gorgeous fur babies, grower of organic food for her family, and passionate native gardener. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Barclay or Magic Barclay to introduce herself. Magic, welcome to Thriving with Diabetes podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really excited about this episode because there's so much to share. And before we go on, I need to tell you that technically I have type 2 diabetes and I am thriving with it. So I can't wait to share some tips.
Okay, brilliant. To start the episode, it would be great if you could tell our audience about your personal journey with diabetes and how it has shaped your mission and approach to health. So can you share your personal story of living with type 2
Sure.
diabetes and experiencing, like I think you mentioned before, the gestational diabetes?
Yeah, so with my first child, I had just come out of an eating disorder and not eaten properly. So my body didn't know how to process glucose, carbohydrates, all that good stuff. And I found myself pregnant. Now, I felt very unwell through the whole pregnancy. And of course, when they start to do the glucose tolerance test or the challenge, I was very unwell. So what they said was I had gestational diabetes and I would be insulin dependent for my pregnancy. So I was on 8 units of insulin a day. Now, number one son was born and the diabetes went away. Then I got pregnant again about a year and a half later, and this time again gestational diabetes, but this time it was 80 units a day. So my body had not had enough time to bounce back between babies. My body didn't know how to process glucose because I'd been anorexic for so long prior to the kids. So when you don't use pathways in your body, they tend to start shutting down. So here I was, second baby was born, no more diabetes. Now, through both those pregnancies, I saw diabetes educators, and they're not all the same, so I'm not bagging all of them, but the ones that I saw told me to eat starchy carbs and really be full and have that satiety on things like rice and bread and toast and potato. Of course, what do you think happened? My glucose would spike and I would need more insulin. So I was already being told the wrong things and not able to handle what my body was doing. So post-children, I was super morbidly obese. Now, I'm not a very tall person, so I can tell you I look like, if you've ever watched Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, I look like the Blueberry Girl. and that was post-kids. So, through my adult life, I had to learn a relationship with food. Other health challenges happened along the way, but I was pre-diabetic and I knew that. But I did stick my head in the sand a little. I thought, I'm eating healthy food and everything's going to be fine. And then it wasn't. So, not long ago, actually, I tested my bloods. And on my little glucometer, my bloods were 17.8. Now, I knew I wasn't feeling well. My eyesight was starting to go on me. I was tired all the time, but when I saw the glucometer, I then realized I am now diabetic. So, over a period of 2 months, I've gotten my sugar levels back to normal, where they're supposed to be. I still eat healthily, but I have omitted a few things. I don't restrict myself to the point of missing out, but I do know what works with my body and what doesn't. I also know what is behind this escalation, and for me, it's stress, and we can talk, a little bit more about this later, but cortisol, which is very high in my life, is not just a hormone, it's also a sugar. So for women in my age group, you're going through menopause, everything's changing, cortisol's rising because your body thinks something's wrong, and don't forget that's a sugar. That's not the only cause of late onset diabetes type 2, but it is a factor. And it's certainly a factor in my life.
Okay, brilliant. So the first thing that you experienced was not getting the right advice. So you went
Yes.
through like high carbohydrates, and within 2 months, I mean, after you took like a proactive role to improve your health, within 2 months you managed to put or to reverse the blood sugar levels to normal.
Yes. And I don't, as I said, I really don't go without. I just make sure that the carbs that I am eating or intaking are, I guess, full of nutrients. They're good carbs, they're slow release carbs, and I make sure that every food does more than one thing. I'm not just eating it because I want to eat it. I'm eating it because it's full of vitamins or it's full of minerals. And the main thing is I eat a lot more fats now than I used to eat.
And that helps with blood sugar levels as well, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for sharing this inspiring story. So now let's explore the critical role of liver in regulating blood sugar levels, and we will try to keep it relevant to people with type 2 diabetes. I am assuming that the majority of people don't know that the liver has more than 500 functions. That includes processing digested foods, controlling levels of amino acids, glucose in the blood, breaking down food and turning it into energy. Could you help us understand the liver's role in blood sugar regulation, and why is it so crucial for people who are suffering with type 2 diabetes?
Sure. So part of the liver's role, as you said, it has so many roles, but part of it is to change glucose to glycogen. Now, we need glycogen for all our muscles to work. We need glycogen for the mitochondria to do their thing and release energy. And we have a pathway called glucuronidation. So many people think that, methylation is the only liver pathway. There's actually 6 pathways. And one of those is glucuronidation and, in turn, gluconeogenesis. Now, this is the process of us breaking glucose to glycogen and drawing it out of just the blood sugars that we see when we're testing our bloods, but it's being utilized for everything else in our body. So in a nutshell, the liver is super important to do this. Now, the liver's overarching job, with all of its 500 plus things that it does, is to process messages. So it processes all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, every chemical from outside the body, every chemical from within the body. So that includes all of your enzymes, every vitamin, every mineral, every toxic thing that comes past it, dead cells, everything. The liver has to process this. All of our blood, every single 24 hours, travels through our liver as well. So it checks on the health of our blood. Unfortunately, when we have too much glucose that we can't utilize, in that process, the liver parks that glucose in our blood. And so when we're pricking our finger, that's what we're seeing. So it's really important that we support the liver to do its important job, or it will find where excess is and deposit it in places to keep us safe that then have ongoing effects.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Uh, uh, I know that the liver is like a complex or complicated organ in our body. So it's difficult to understand every function in the body, but it's important to know at least the basic rules of the liver. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about fructose. When you talk about liver or liver health, so fructose is something in mind. So when we talk about fructose, we talk about storing that form of energy in the liver. So talking about the impact of fructose on liver health, it is important for anyone to improve diabetes management, as fructose consumption can affect blood sugar levels. What is the connection between fructose consumption and liver health, and how can this connection influence diabetes management or control?
Okay, first I'm going to say not all fructose is the same. So it's like saying all red cars, run at the same speed. They don't. So fructose is in, as we know, all fruits and in vegetables, and it's in higher concentrations in some. So natural fructose in a banana is going to be a lot harder for your body to process than natural fructose in an apple or a mandarin. They're going to be lower in fructose, they're going to be easier for your body to process, and particularly easier for your liver to deal with how it allocates those sugars and how it breaks them down. What many people don't talk about, and certainly the diabetes educators that I saw at the start of my journey never mentioned, was high fructose corn syrup. Now, this is in all your packaged goods, even the ones that are supposed to be diabetes friendly. It's in all of your fried foods. It's basically in anything that doesn't come from nature. So high fructose corn syrup is not fructose. It's a toxic ingredient that we are led to believe has no ongoing effect with us. Unfortunately, it does. So bringing it back to fructose. As I said, a banana has lots of great benefits for your health, full of potassium, but the fructose levels in it are going to be harder for your liver to deal with than an apple, which has very different benefits. It's lower in potassium, but it has some vitamin C in it. It has fiber in it, which a banana has a lot less. And of course, when you're boosting fiber, you're able to process things a bit better in your body. So not all fructose are the same. It's really important to note. When we reduce that fructose load, we need to look at times of the day as well. So don't eat a piece of fruit in the evening. Yes, it's good for you, but you are going to ask your body when you are starting to wind down for sleep to process a higher load. If you want to have that apple, the mandarin, piece of melon, then you have it at lunchtime. You've got your body a lot longer to process it. You'll still benefit from all the vitamins and minerals and goodness that it has, but you're not at the time of day when your body is slowing down asking it to work too hard.
Okay, thank you. Brilliant information. I thought that fructose, or the majority of people know, might think the same thing. It's like fructose is one thing and we treat it as one thing. When we talk about fruit, especially when we talk about fruits, we talk about fructose. Then some people might say eating fruits are dangerous. Why? Because fruits have fructose. And now you mentioned as well, corn syrup is in every package of food that we consume or get from the shops. And sometimes we don't read the labels.
Yeah, so just on that, my kids went out for a drive the other day and they saw a snack at the petrol station when they were filling up, and it, actually was designed for someone with diabetes to be attracted to the label. And they bought it thinking they were doing something good for me. And I said, Mum, we found a snack that you can have. See, it's diabetes friendly. And so we turned the packet over and we read the label. And I said to them, I would not even let someone's dog eat this. Like, it's going in the bin. I'm sorry. Thank you for buying it. Thank you for trying to look after me. But I think I'll just have a handful of nuts, which I know are good for me because there's nothing natural in this. Now, if I didn't know what I knew and I went, oh, this is diabetes friendly, great, I can have it, I would be putting all that toxicity into my body. Always read the label.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's very important for everyone to read the labels and understand what is in the package. If you cannot understand what the ingredients are, so it's better to avoid it. Okay, let's move to the next part, is the dawn effect. I have noticed that or many people complain about having high blood sugar levels in the early morning, even if they don't eat for, say, long hours, maybe about 8-9 hours. And I think this is related to something called the dawn effect, which is a common experience for people with diabetes. Always I get questions about having a high blood sugar levels in the morning. Can you explain what the dawn effect is, and why is it important for people with type 2 diabetes especially in the early morning hours?
Yeah, the dawn effect is where your blood sugars raise, and it's usually at about 2 or 3 a.m. And so what people have realized is this raise in blood sugars is about the same time that your liver is working the hardest to clean you out. Now, it's also about the same time, if you need to get up in the middle of the night, that you'll need to go for a number one at the toilet. And that is because your body is expelling stuff. So your liver's working super hard. It's known as the 3 a.m. wake up. That's the prime time for your liver. Now, if you don't wake up, it might also be about the time that maybe your partner says you are having a nightmare or a strange dream. That's, again, your liver working hard at that time. So in the dawn effect, what happens is your blood sugars raise. Now, I mentioned cortisol earlier, right? So we have a natural cortisol cycle. It's supposed to drop off in the evening so that we're not wired and buzzing around, we can actually get to sleep. But it raises naturally in the morning, and that is to get you out of bed, to start your day, to say, okay, I'm shaking you by the shoulders now, get up, start your life. And if we didn't have that cortisol raising in the morning, it would be very hard to get out of bed. And now what that looks like in some of my clients is their alarm goes off and they just hit snooze 10 times. If I do what's called a Dutch test with them, which is a lab test to check their cortisol levels, if they're the people that hit the snooze alarm 10 times, more often than not the Dutch test shows that they're low in cortisol in the morning. So they can't just bounce out of bed. And I did mention earlier, cortisol is also a sugar as well as a hormone. So in the dawn effect, when we're testing our blood sugars first thing in the morning, even in a fasted state, what we can find is it's not always sugars from our food that are coming through. That's really important to note. Now, I intermittent fast, so I stop eating before 8 p.m. at night, and I don't eat again till 2 p.m. the next day. What I have found is when I get up, if I'm testing my blood sugars at 7 or 8 in the morning, they're a lot higher than they are even after I've had lunch, after I've broken my fast. So if I check my sugars at about 4 in the afternoon, so 2 hours after I've eaten something, my blood sugars are actually where they're supposed to be. So it's not always what you're eating, and it's not always when you're eating. There are so many other things going on in your body. So for anyone that's checking their sugars, for sure do a fasting test, whatever time that fasting window is for you, whether it's before breakfast in the morning or if your breakfast is like mine, 2 p.m. Check throughout the day, because what you'll see is your blood sugars will change depending on how your body cycles things. So for me, if I was to test first thing in the morning, especially on a stressful week, I know those sugars are up. I know before the meter's even told me what they are. Do I feel worse? Not necessarily. But if I test later in the day, or I test on a week that, there's not that much stressing me out, it's going to be a different ball game. Don't just rely on what the glucometer tells you.
So the dawn effect, I can say it's a normal thing to happen in our body, and it
Yes.
is one of the liver function that to release some energy in the body. Or
Yes.
okay, and we shouldn't should we worry about it or not?
Know your body. That's the biggest thing. Listen to what your body's telling you. As I said, don't just rely on the glucometer. How are you feeling? Do you have any neuropathy in your feet? That's, something you have to take care of straight away. Is your eyesight worsening? Are you fatigued through the day? Are you irritable through the day? Is your skin thin and breaking when you just touch something simple? Always look at the symptomology, because it's going to tell you what's happening in your body. It's not always just what the blood sugar reading is.
Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned that the fasting blood sugar test might be higher than having a test after a meal, like 30 minutes or 2 hours later. So it still can be under control, even if it is higher than the test after the meal. Right.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Let's talk about toxicity and symptoms, something like that. And sometimes understanding the symptoms of toxicity and their relationship with diabetes is fundamental for our viewers and listeners seeking to manage their condition effectively. If you can share some common toxicity systems, and how can recognizing these symptoms be helpful for people with diabetes. So sometimes I don't know if I have got a toxicity or a toxic in my body. So knowing toxicity symptoms can be very helpful.
Okay, so toxicity in the body is such a broad topic, and of course it does come down to liver health. But there is one system called the immune system that will tell you when there's too much toxicity in your body. And certainly with diabetes, we know that the slightest scratch on our feet can turn into a disaster, can turn into an ulcer or a blister, can turn into a deep cut that never heals, and then that can go down the line to become worse and worse. Don't always look at a blemish on your feet or on your skin as it's a skin problem, because one of the biggest ways we push toxicity out of the body is through the skin. So when you're checking your feet, as everyone with type 2 diabetes should be doing, and your hands, ask yourself, is this toxicity pushing through? What can I do to help my liver? What can I do to help my immune system? Particularly my innate immune system, which the skin is part of. So you can reduce your exposure. That's the first thing. And some really top tips are go through all the cleaning products you have in your home. If they have ingredients that you can't say, same as with your food, or if there's a poisons information warning on it, don't use it, because your body has to then deal with that. All your cleaning products should be natural. They should be made from what we use in baking or cooking, so things like vinegar and bicarb of soda, salt. These are things that can help clean your home. Lemon juice. Now, none of these are going to cause any spike in toxicity if you come into contact with them. There's one thing. When you go shopping, do not pick up the receipt. So these thermal receipts that we always get every time we go shopping, they have really nasty endocrine disruptors, so hormone disruptors embedded in them. And when you're touching the receipt, you are taking that into your body. You don't need the receipt. Or if you do, have a glove with you and hold the receipt with that. Put it away somewhere safe. If you need to return something, get the glove out, hold the receipt in that again. So there's just a couple of ways we can reduce toxicity. With symptoms, it might be that your eyes start watering, or your nose starts running, or as I said, you start getting eczema or something on your skin. It starts pushing something out of there. There are so many ways that our body says, I've reached my toxic load and now I need to get rid of it. Do not cover up these symptoms to treat the symptoms. So, we're really good at have a headache, take an aspirin or a Panadol, they're called here in Australia. But you're not asking your body, why do I have a headache? Okay, so same thing with your skin. If you get contact dermatitis or eczema, we go and put a hand cream on it straight away without saying, why is that there? What have I eaten? What have I touched? What is my body dealing with? Always look at why.
Okay, thank you. Brilliant. So you mentioned some of the symptoms we might look to, like our skin or running nose or stuff on our eyes, and you mentioned the sources, which is very important. Number one, which is you will be exposed to like every day, is the cleaning products. So you recommend them to opt for like natural beauty, natural products, right?
Yes, totally.
Yes, you can.
So with your cleaning products, there are so many things that can be done simply and cheaply and healthily in your home. Do not get, sucked into the latest ads of this stain remover or this window cleaner or anything like that. Think back to what happened before all this stuff was manufactured. They use things like vinegar, and they use things like aluminium-free bicarb and lemon juice. I think every nana that I knew when I was growing up had a huge lemon tree in their backyard here in Australia. And lemon juice cleans so much. And of course, it's not going to cause you any damage. Think about your clothes when you buy them. So your clothes are covered in fungicides when you buy them. That's that new clothes smell that you always smell. They're like that because they're shipped across the world in plastic wrapping and in cardboard boxes. And if they weren't sprayed with fungicide, the shop assistants would pull new clothes out to put on the rack and they'd be all mouldy. So always wash your clothes before you wear them. Just really reduce your contact with toxins. When you have to put petrol or fuel in your car, have a pair of gardening gloves in your car that are just for that. Because every time you touch that pump, there's a dribble of petrol on it. And you don't want that on your skin. There's so many ways that we can reduce our exposure to toxicity. It's just a matter of making tiny changes as we go along. And of course, when we increase our exposure to toxicity, we're increasing the burden on the liver. One of the things the liver is going to do is not be able to process sugars.
Brilliant and very valuable information and advice. Thank you for sharing these great information. Now let's say, okay, someone wants to try to do some liver detox, and let's now talk about liver detox specifically in the context of type 2 diabetes. And sometimes our audience might be interested in learning about liver detox as part of a holistic approach to diabetes management. Could you talk about a liver detox program, the benefits for people with diabetes?
So we have a liver detox program. It's called our Functional Liver and Lifestyle Detox. Now, where this is different is it treats all 3 phases of liver detox. Many programs out there only treat the first 2. So phase 3 is the first one that we treat, and that's our elimination phase. So we make sure that our elimination pathways are working well. Then we do phase 1, which is macronutrients. And then we do phase 2 and 2.5, which are the micronutrients, which help those liver pathways, all 6 of them, to do their job. One of them being glucuronidation for us diabetics out there. So really important that you treat all of the phases of liver detox and you don't ignore any particular one. Once we've been through all those 3.5 phases, we go into lifestyle. Because, as I mentioned before, we come into contact with so many toxins that we're asking our liver to process. So we look at our diet first, our elimination pathways, our nutrients, macro and micro, and then our environment. Because liver health is something that's ongoing. It's not something that you can do like a 2 or a 6 week program and then you've got perfect liver health. You know, one of my mentors once said to me, "Who's got a liver problem?" And, you know, all of us students were in the room going, "Well, doesn't everyone?" And he said, "Exactly. If you're alive, you've got a liver problem." Because we come into so much contact with things. So during our functional liver and lifestyle detox program, we teach you how to keep doing this so that it's not just a one-off and see you. We teach you so that you can keep looking after your liver.
Actually, I'm very surprised the level of knowledge that you have got about the liver, the toxicity that we experience, the solutions that you have. I think this is going to be like very, very valuable information, not just for people with type 2 diabetes, for anyone. And you just mentioned that.
Yes.
You were in a group, in a class or somewhere, when you were asked who has got a liver issue, no one answered. And this is what we think. We think that our liver is fine and we don't have anything. And even in myself personally, I thought a liver detox is just one thing. You do it once, or like one stage. It's like something you do it as one time. But now you mentioned that it is a program that consists of 3.5 or 4 stages. Then after the program, then you need to do other things. If you just, I want just if you can repeat the 4 steps quickly as just steps.
Okay, so the first one is address your diet. And of course, if someone wants to do this program with my team, we take your diabetes into account with that as well. The second part is to address phase 3, then phase 1, 2, and 2.5. And then the final part is to address your environment.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for confirming that. So, because especially we think that always toxicity can come only from environment or from chemicals that surrounding us. Okay, I know you have shared you have given some tips and strategies to improve our liver health, blood sugar regulation as well. If you have got some more practical tips you want to share with people who are suffering from type 2 diabetes, and if they want to support their liver health better.
Okay, so the biggest tip I have is know where your food is coming from. Okay, a carrot that you grow in your garden is going to have very different effects on your diabetes than a carrot that is grown artificially and stored for months and months and months and sprayed with chemicals. Right, a carrot that you grow from your garden, pull out, still covered in dirt, give it a rinse in purified or filtered water, and then you start eating it, is not going to spike your blood sugars nearly as much as something that is lab made or farmed full of pesticides, because you don't know what those pesticides are doing to your blood sugars. So learn to grow your own food where you can. Even if you don't have a big space, if you just have a little balcony, you can still grow some of your food. Or buy organic if you can't grow your own food or you don't have time. Always look for something that's not sprayed with pesticides, chemicals, endocrine disruptors, all of the above. So there's a tip there. A carrot is not always a carrot.
It depends on where it was grown and how it was grown.
100% it does, yes. And as I said earlier, make some better choices. Fruit is not the devil for you. Eat it earlier in the day and eat things that have a lower glycemic load. So maybe don't eat the banana. Maybe don't eat the grapes. But do eat an orange or a mandarin or an apple. Something that is going to give you more than it's going to take from you.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. This will take us to the next or the final part. So I have got another question before we finish this episode. What inspiring message or advice would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners, especially those struggling with type 2 diabetes?
My main message to you is you have not done this. You have not asked for this. You are not a victim and you're not a perpetrator. This is something that your body has gotten some messaging wrong. For whatever reason, you did not ask for it. I know through my journey with diabetes educators in the past, and even more recently with a doctor telling me, I have to do this. Why did I let it get to this? It's not my fault. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask my blood sugars to be spiking the way they were. I didn't ask for the fatigue. My body got something wrong, so now I'm dealing with it. So don't take that on yourself. You are not to blame.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing this great message. So you are saying avoid self-blaming. So don't just keep blaming yourself for something happened.
Yes, totally.
Anything else?
Yeah, and just remember that type 2 diabetes is a label. It's a medical label. You may get your blood sugars correct, and I said at the very start, technically I have type 2 diabetes, but I don't live in that state. I am not a diabetic. That is not who I am. I am the mum. I am the practitioner. I am the gardener. I am the cat lover. I'm not the person with diabetes.
I liked it. Thank you for sharing this inspiring message, especially from someone who experienced diabetes. Okay, now how can people find you if they want to get in touch or learn about you and what you do?
So everything is on our website, which is www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. Don't forget the AU because we are based in Australia, and holistic starts with a W. So what you'll find is we treat with holism, we treat the body as a whole. We don't treat with reductionism, which is taking one issue and treating that as the whole. So holisticnaturalhealth.com.au, and you'll find our podcast, you'll find our programs, you'll find our blogs, all sorts of great free info there. And you'll also find our root cause analysis, which is our free call anywhere in the world. We go through your complete history, medical history, and we can find how the problem may have started. And that's what we treat.
Brilliant. Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for our amazing guest, Magic Barclay, for generously sharing her expertise, insights, and time with us today. Your contribution has truly elevated this episode, and deeply appreciate the valuable information you have provided us today. I want also to thank everyone of you, our dedicated viewers and listeners, for being a part of this episode. If you are looking for additional guidance and support on your health journey, please visit Wellness Impact to book a call with me. During this call, we can discuss your needs and explore how I can personally assist you and addressing any questions you may have. And if you found today's episode insightful and valuable, I invite you to join our community of people committed to thriving with diabetes. Today, to stay up to date with upcoming episodes, empowering discussions, and practical tips, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For those who prefer other platforms such as Spotify, you can follow the Thriving with Diabetes podcast. Once again, thank you, Magic Barclay, for being our guest today. I also want to thank you all for who have been watching this episode or listening to us and joining us on this impactful journey. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.